Pierce doesn't like being called a defensive coach. It really angers the Raiders coach. AP also said there is a difficulty between making choices with Telesco, but he's looking forward to it. Subscribe to the channel and leave a like if you want to receive information from the Raiders. By accepting the Raiders' general manager job earlier this offseason, Tom Telesco immediately increased the Raiders' depth at nearly every position. That allowed the Raiders to spend the offseason evaluating the talent available and choosing which group of players would give them the best chance for success next season. After a full offseason and completing their preseason slate, the Raiders are just days away from having to trim their roster. The Raiders' additional depth means Telesco and coach Antonio Pierce will have tough decisions ahead of them. When asked how he, as a defensive coach, viewed the team's roster as cut day approaches, Pierce responded, "Yeah, well, 1. I'm not a defensive coach. I'm a head coach. My background is defense. I look at everything big picture. For me, special teams is the front end for me, just making sure we're solid there. We have 2 kickers that can really change the game in Daniel Carlson and AJ Cole. But really the depth, this goes back to the previous question, they asked about corner depth, just constantly improving that room. Between wide receivers and DBs, you lose those guys constantly throughout the season, and you want to have depth.
You want to feel good about that.
And I think just in general up front, when the game plays out like it did last night and teams are running the ball, and you want to stop the run in certain situations for minutes, or let's say we get the ball in the red zone and you want to run, you want to finish those drives from the edge, the right way. Pierce said he and Telesco see things similarly, and that he's looking forward to working with Telesco to figure out the team's roster. However, Coach Pierce insists that most of the players currently on the roster will still be there after cut day, in one form or another. I know Tom Telesco sees it the same way, Pierce said. But to act like we're going to sit there and turn this roster over in the next 48 hours, that's not going to happen. A lot of the guys are going to be on our practice squad, and that makes up our 50-man roster here. Like everybody in the league, there's going to be 5 to 8 guys that know there's going to be changes, and that's going to happen throughout the season, just constantly rotating that bottom half of the roster.